Sometimes you just need to deal with the consequences of your own actions. The owners, they're going to be billionaires whether there's a WNBA season or not. The players, well, they might not be millionaires. They might not even be 100,000aires if there's no WNBA season.
Hold up. Did you catch what he just said? The WNBA players are ready to walk away from the entire season over one demand. Not better travel. Not improved facilities. One number, 30% of gross revenue before the league pays a single expense. And the owners? They're calling that bluff. Training camp starts April 19th. Opening night is scheduled for May 8th. And right now, there's no deal.
And the owners, to their credit, not coming off that 30%. Don't come off the 30% and let them deal with no WNBA season. They want to go overseas? Fine. See ya. No sweat off my back. I still got money. The owner speaking, of course. Fine. You want to go play it on Rival? Cool. No sweat off my back. I still got money. You want to go play in Athletes Unlimited? Cool. No sweat off my back. Not only do I still have money, but now I'm not losing money actively in the black hole that is the WNBA.
Here's what the league already put on the table. Maximum salary jumping from $800,000 to $1.3 million in year one of the deal. That's a 62% increase right there. Salary cap moving to $5 million, with projections showing max salaries hitting $2 million by the end of the contract. Minimum salary starting at $230,000, and they're throwing in housing for every minimum contract player and every developmental roster player for the first 3 years. One-bedroom apartments, fully covered. But according to Breanna Stewart, the Players Union Executive Committee, none of that moves the needle on their core demand.
Make small concessions in the latest CBA proposal. Small concessions on top of the massive concessions they've already given up. They've already increased what their max deal was going to be. Remember, it first reported around 800,000, then 1 million, then 1.1, now 1.3.
Let's talk about what 30% of gross revenue actually means. Gross revenue is every dollar that comes in the door before you pay for anything. Before you pay for arenas. Before you pay for travel. Before you pay for medical staff, coaching staffs, front office personnel. Before you cover production costs for broadcasts. The players want 30% of that top-line number, and they're calling it a non-negotiable. The league's counteroffer, 70% of net revenue. That's the money left after covering league-specified operating expenses. And here's the thing, that 70% of net could actually be worth more in real dollars than 30% of gross, depending on how the league structures its expenses.
Updates for players per Stewart. The Executive Committee for the Women's National Basketball Players Association held a call Sunday to discuss the WNBA's latest collective bargaining agreement proposal, which arrived on Friday. The EC wanted to really understand everyone's point of view and, quote, get on the same page about what we're asking for. WNBPA Vice President Breanna Stewart told CBS Sports in an exclusive interview Monday. The WNBA's proposal, the league's first response to the players' latest offer, which came more than 6 weeks ago, quote, didn't move much money-wise, Stewart said, but, quote, there were some minimum standard requirements that did come into play. That was...
Now watch how the media is covering this. CBS Sports published their breakdown on February 10th, and the framing is fascinating. They lead with WNBA, and players make CBA progress, as if both sides are moving equally. Then Breanna Stewart tells them the league's latest proposal didn't move much money-wise, but acknowledged the league heard us on things that matter to us, regarding minimum standards. That's corporate speak for we got what we asked for on housing and facilities, but we're still dug in on the money. Stewart even admits in that same interview that she doesn't know if there's a drop-dead date for when the season would have to be delayed. Think about that. You're negotiating a deal where time is running out. You're making demands that could cancel the season, and you haven't asked the basic question of when the point of no return actually hits.
3 years of the CBA, while developmental players would be provided a studio apartment, a source familiar with the negotiations confirmed to CBS Sports. Listen to how crazy that sounds. Minimum salary still making $250K. And the league is still paying for your apartment for the first 3 years. A minimum salary that you're still making nearly $250,000, the league is still paying for your housing. That. Moving along.
Here's where this gets complicated. The Players Association countered the league's December proposal with their own offer that would push the salary cap to $10.5 million in 2026. That's more than double what the league proposed. Maximum salary in the player's proposal, $2.5 million. Again, nearly double the league's opening number of 1.3. And remember, all of these salary figures include both base salary and a revenue-sharing component tied to team and league revenues. So the players are already getting a piece of the revenue pie in the league's proposal. They're just fighting over how big that piece should be and whether it's calculated before or after expenses.
Next one. Key stakeholders from the Players Association and WNBA, including multiple owners, met in person February 2nd for the first time since October. During that meeting, housing concerns and facility standards were two issues the players wanted to resolve. While the players were frustrated that the league did not arrive at that meeting with a counter-proposal to the union's latest offer, the league has since responded with a proposal that satisfies some of the housing and facility questions. But it's not good enough! As Stewart noted, however, the league's response did not address the gap between the sides on revenue sharing, but that's not good enough! They're only giving us free housing for the first 3 years. That's not good enough. Cry me a river. The WNBA's proposal in early December would raise the cap.
Let's put this in perspective with some history. The WNBA has provided housing for players since 1999. That's 26 years of covering living expenses that most professional athletes have to handle themselves. In the most recent CBA, teams were required to offer players either a one-bedroom apartment or a stipend for housing costs. Now the league is extending that guarantee specifically to minimum salary players for their first 3 years and to developmental contract players who'll get studio apartments. These are players making $230,000 to $250,000, and the league is still covering their rent. Meanwhile, the union is framing housing as a concession they had to fight for, when it's actually been a standard benefit for over 2 decades.
Quote, I think that both sides are very aware that this has gone on way longer than it needed to, Stewart said, but hopefully we can really start to be hearing each other and they hear us on things that are, quote, non-negotiables. Non-negotiables being rev share. The league can give up everything. If these ladies don't get that 30%, I am going on strike. Go on strike, please. Please, go. If the league wanted to continue to push forward, they could. That's the great thing about all y'all being free agents. That's the best part of it. You guys want to strike? Yeah, fine. We'll just start somewhere else if we really want to. If we really want to, we'll just start somewhere else, and you guys can do whatever the heck you guys do. But when we talk about non-negotiables, the only reason why a deal hasn't been reached yet is because of that non-negotiable 30% rev share. Are they going to come down? We'll see. But as of right now, they're ready to put the whole league in jeopardy for a few dollars. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel.
So here's what this comes down to. Brianna Stewart said both sides are very aware that this has gone on way longer than it needed to, and expressed hope that they can start really hearing each other on the non-negotiables. But when your non-negotiable is 30% of gross revenue, and the owners won't budge from their net revenue formula, somebody has to blink. And right now, neither side is blinking. The Players Union held a call on February 9th to discuss the league's latest proposal. Stewart characterized it as an attempt to get on the same page about what we're asking for. Translation, even within the union, there might be disagreement about whether this 30% demand is worth risking the entire season. Think about the position these players are in. If they strike, the owners remain billionaires whether there's a season or not. Several WNBA franchises are owned by people who made their money elsewhere. The team is a side project, sometimes even a tax write-off, but a player making the minimum salary at $230,000 loses that entire income if there's no season. A max player at $1.3 million loses everything. And unlike NBA players who have massive endorsement deals to fall back on, most WNBA players don't have that safety net. Sure, some can go overseas, Europe, Australia, Asia, but those leagues have their own rosters, their own timelines, their own contract situations. You can't just show up in April and expect a spot. Those deals get signed months in advance. And even if you do land somewhere, you're playing in a different system, different style, different language in some cases. It's not a seamless transition. The league announced the full schedule for 2025 on February 6th. Training camps begin April 19th. Preseason games start April 25th. Opening night is locked for May 8th. Every day that passes without a deal makes it harder to start on time. You need training camp to fatigue new players, work on systems, build chemistry. You need preseason games to fine-tune rotations and get players game ready. You can't just skip all that and jump straight into the regular season. And here's what makes this particularly risky for the players. Public sentiment. The average fan sees players demanding 30% of gross revenue when the league just offered them 62% salary increases, doubled the salary cap, and threw in free housing. The optics are brutal. It looks like greed, even if the underlying economics might justify a bigger share. Perception matters, especially for a league that's still building its fan base and trying to prove its commercial viability. The February 2nd in-person meeting between the Players Association and WNBA ownership was their first face-to-face since October. 4 months between meetings. When you're trying to finalize a deal before the season starts, that alone tells you how far apart these sides are. You don't go 4 months without talking if you're close to agreement. You go 4 months without talking when neither side wants to be the first to compromise. Stewart mentioned that housing concerns and facility standards were two issues the players wanted to resolve at that meeting, and she acknowledged the league has since addressed those concerns in their latest proposal. So the players got what they wanted on quality of life issues. They got what they wanted on minimum standards. They got massive salary increases across the board. But it's still not enough because of that one number, 30% of gross. The owners are betting the players will cave when they realize the season is actually at risk. The players are betting the owners will cave, because canceling a season would be a public relations disaster for a league trying to capitalize on its recent momentum. Both sides think they have leverage. Both sides think the other will blink first. And the calendar keeps flipping forward while neither side moves. So what happens if we get to mid-April and there's still no deal? Does the league postpone training camp? Do they push the season's start date? Do they try to play a shortened season? Or do they actually cancel the whole thing and dare the players to sit out an entire year? Because that's the nuclear option nobody wants to talk about but everybody's thinking about. A lost season would devastate the league's momentum coming off its most watched year ever. But it would also devastate players' careers, their earning potential, their endorsement deals. This isn't just about money. It's about respect. The players feel like they've been undervalued for decades, and they're finally in a position to demand their worth. The owners feel like they've been subsidizing a league that loses money every year, and they're already offering historic increases. Both perspectives have merit. Both sides have legitimate grievances. But at some point, legitimate grievances don't matter if there's no season to play. Watch what happens over the next 3 weeks. If we get to April 1st without a deal, panic sets in. If we get to April 15th without a deal, the season is in serious jeopardy. And if we get to May 1st without a deal, you're looking at either a significantly delayed season or no season at all. The players' union keeps saying time is of the essence. The league keeps making incremental improvements to their offer. But that 30% of gross revenue, that's the line in the sand. And right now nobody's crossing it.